What it do? Welcome. Today is Sullivan King, Kompany, and SHAQ Day, or I should say DJ Diesel. We are basically remaking their song Never Come Back, and it is just super heavy. I heard it and I was like, oh my God, I have to remake this. Put it in Ableton, made that thing, and now I'm showing it to you guys. We have a fake out and a drop, and I want to just dive right into the music and we'll get started.
I see you never come back. I see you never come back.
Yes, heavy tear out guns, heavy bass music. You know what it is. We're about to get down and dirty. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Support me by following me on my Patreon, and you can get this full project and everything included, and stay up to date with me in my Discord. You know what it is. I'm going to show you the ins and outs of all these techniques and flows, layers, and all the crazy post-processing that comes in with it. Keep in mind, we're using like a tear out bass gun maker, and we can make our own tear out guns pretty quickly and efficiently, and process them heavily with the sub. I'm going to show you all the tips and techniques here. While I dive into this fake out, we're going to look into the section that has no sub. It's just like a tease into the drop, adding a lot of energy before the drop, and it makes the drop feel like 100 times fatter. And all the amount of fills and different phrasing techniques is going to be important too. I use my own vocals here.
Back. I see you never come back.
So we'll look at that as well. First off, we need to get into this gun maker. I have my buses, I have all my groups. All my groups are being sent to my buses, and they're being separated and cleaned up, and then they're going to the master. So that's the first step. Clean, mixing and mastering, separating our signals by frequency, keeping things clean. I use a lot of EQ and clippers throughout, and my lows group have what I call the everything. This group holds the sub and the guns. And if you see on the everything group, we're actually post-processing the sub and the guns together and making it fatter. They're glued together, they're getting heavier, and just making it thick. That everything group is important, but we will need to open up the main gun group first. This gun group has a good amount of post-processing on it because this is what's creating the guns. This is essentially the gun maker right here. With the gun maker, we have this mixology room where I'm mixing everything together. We have another sub, which is used just for adding some low-end beef, some low-end mid-grunge. And then we have the guns here. So you can see there's a lot of different layers. But once you make this gun maker, you'll be able to easily drag and drop it into different projects and use it like I did to make all kinds of different tear out songs of any sort. Main thing in the gun group is these layers. What you're hearing right now is going to be a processed sound. So I kind of want you to prepare by making this post-processing on the gun maker group. Start with making the gun maker group. Get 3 dispersers lined up in a row. Here are the settings on all 3. You can pause it and look at those. After these dispersers, we have a loud rack, and this is a super big loud rack. You can easily make this as well. OTT, check out these settings, make sure they're the same over here. Saturator turned up to 4 dB, 47%. Another OTT, same settings, but 54% amount. Saturator, 6 dB, 100% drive. It's EQ8 boosting frequencies here at 167 and here at 6,800. Glue compressor at -9 thresh, 5.7 pickup gain, turning it up. We're then clipping the sound with the JST clip. JST clip is turning it up 2 blocks. We have a multiband dynamics on 15% with another JST clip turning 2 blocks. 2.3 dB. So lots of different compressors, saturators, and clippers all in this signal flow to just turn up the signal and get it super loud. So, we're making that crazy tear out. We have this special EQ here. This is called the Filta EQ, and this is going to be really important. It's cutting a lot of frequencies, and we're going to be using this because without it, it's almost like too many frequencies are playing. So this is a huge mixing EQ that's going to kind of blend the signal in with the mix. So this one's very important, filter EQ. Phone Alien Park EQ is not as important, but it's a very cool special effect that we're going to be using during the drop, which we'll get into shortly. This bass clef washout, you don't need it. This reverb, you don't need it. And this low cut is going to be cutting. So remember, on the Gunmaker, we have this sub, but it's getting cut out by this low cut on this EQ. So keep that in mind. That sub is really just giving us some low-end frequencies, low-end mid-grunge from 100 to 200. So it's doing minimal work in the Gunmaker. Bass clef washout, this is just for the tutorial. You don't need that. That's for the end, the cool washout here.
I see you never come back.
That cool tail at the end. So yeah, that's just for cool special effects. It's important you have all this post-processing on the Gunmaker first. So go ahead and do that. Get your dispersers, get your loud rack. And then I would make this EQ, this filter EQ next. I'm cutting the highs, so make a high cut. And I want you to see that we automated it. So in the fake out, this is used to cut the highs in the fake out. And then in the drop, you can see we automated it here is at 6.8 when it's cut in the fake out. And then at the drop, we open it to 17.8. And you can see the change here if you look at the bottom. And when the drop comes, it opens up more high frequencies. Right there. So it sounds more filtered in the fake out. On purpose, just so it's not as intense as it's going to be in the drop here. There's lots of different ways to make little filters like this. You can really have fun and get creative with it. We're also cutting or dipping down on these low mids here at 126, -4 dB gain. 2 is also at 42 hertz, 0.8, -0.8 gain, and number 1 is cut at 18. We turn these down. So we're like reducing the low frequencies as well. We don't want there to be too much yeah, so this is more for like sound design and mixing at the same time. And then this low cut here is really just for mixing. Cut out the lows, do a final low cut. Cool, so low cut's on for the fake out and the drop. That's going to be the post-processing. Very important that you have this group ready to go. The sub here, this is just any sub bass, any sine wave you can put here, and you can turn up a lot of saturator, make it big. I have the OG sub right here. So if you need to have the original sub, this is it. And then you can just resample it down to this like I did. Every sub you see, like even these ones here, we're going to be transposing. So this sub was originally F sharp. So I went down to -4 to get it into the root note. Right now, this whole song's in C sharp minor. So all these guns and the subs will be playing the note C sharp, unless I tell one of the notes to go higher, which we do in one little section. So this sub is just adding a little bit of low support, okay? Within the Gunmaker, we have this other group that's grouping the sub and the guns together, and it has a G-clip on it. This G-clip is turning up the signal a lot, 6 dB. So we get the sub and the guns and turn them up 6 dB. This is an additional group in the Gunmaker. So first Gunmaker group, then you make another group, Mixology room, G-clips on it. Within that group, we have the sub and the guns. See, the sub is low frequencies. That's why it's separate from the guns. All these guns are mids and highs. So the gun group is going to hold all kinds of different audio samples so we can create our own unique gun whenever we want to and give it its own flavors and textures. On the guns group, we have a reverb. We have this EQ8. So make sure you add EQ8 and cut it. Cut all the lows at 160. Add a convolver, and this is going to be on 31%. The convolver is a hybrid reverb with convolution mode turned on. So click on parallel, click on convolution, and they're going to turn down the decay a lot. This is 630. I hover around 700 milliseconds to keep the reverb tight and controlled. And this hybrid reverb is a lot of metallic tones. So it's going to help a lot with the tear out sound. The cool thing about convolution reverbs is you can drag and drop samples into it to make your own reverbs. And that's essentially what I did here. You can see this is the sample that I dragged in, and it makes a reverb out of it, which is insanity. Go ahead and make your own reverb, 31%, decay tight. Multiband dynamics is on as well, 33%, giving it a little bit of compression. And that JST clip is going to be the last thing to end it at 0 dB, just clipping it at 0. So these are all the guns. This is the gun group. The gun group also contains one special sound, which is a guitar, a heavy guitar. So we're going to put this to the top and we're going to listen without the guitar. Each sample that you see here will most likely have its own post-processing depending on what it is. Like if the original sample is too quiet, we'll compress it and turn it up. If another sample has too much low frequencies, then we'll add an EQ and remove the lows. Sometimes samples need loud racks. Other times we remove the mud and the lows, so we'll cut like at 175. So let's go ahead and check out each layer to create a gun. I kind of strategically choose different layers. Some are tonal, some are lasery, like zappy, some are lower, some are higher in frequency, and some have reverb. So we have to like do a mix of all of that. This one is laser bass. Remember, every single gun you see will be transposed to the root. So this is -4 from F so that we can get to C sharp. So that's a first laser bass. We do a mix of audio sample basses and MIDI basses here. This is one of the MIDI guns, for example. And another. And usually for these, I'll just find a sample of someone's gun in a sample pack. At random, just throw them in, see what sounds cool, and then keep moving. I try to spend the least amount of time trying to pick samples, and I want to stay in the flow. So I just drag samples in here and see what it sounds like. And if it feels good, we keep moving. This MIDI gun one, this is a bass one-shot, gunshot. This other one is a gun bass. So these are already samples that are layered a lot to create a heavy gun. And then as you see, we layer it a lot more and process it a lot more. This gun has reverb on it. Check out the convolution mode. Check out these settings. So this is our first reverb. I try to be careful not to stack too many reverbs so it doesn't get out of control. So one of these has reverb so far. This other gun is being cut. All the lows being cut. This is a very tonal sound, almost like a pan. Very metallic-y. Keep in mind of all these volumes here, I turn down these guns volumes because we're going to turn them up later. So these will be turned down as I add them. This has another reverb on it, same tight low settings. EQ8 still cutting the lows. This time there's a transient shaper. It's important that there's strong transients with this gun. So sometimes I'll be turning up the attack to make it more punchy at the beginning of the sound. Adjusting the transients is very helpful. Another bass. So I'll just randomly get bass one shots or guns, tune them, and put them in. This one has its own loud rack this time with OTT, Camel Crusher, G-Clip. We have more reverb here. It's actually a lot more reverb stacking going on. This is the third reverb so far. But keep in mind, very tight decay. We do want a good amount of reverb in this. The space and the atmosphere. Huge spaces are important with these sounds. Those are the layers to make the guns. And you'll see there's the fourth reverb here on the group. And this is the group that we were just on. All the mids and highs for the guns. So this is where you can drag and drop and obviously fade. Use your fades, get into this view and use these fades to fade each one. Once they get really fast, they have to get faded so that they are clean once they flow each other note. See how these are all faded? So make sure you get those fades on. Last layer in here to make it like the remake that I'm trying to do is this guitar. Sullivan King guitar. Listen to this. So I just put some riffs in. I chopped it up barely. You know, I didn't go too crazy with it. I wanted to leave most of them long so we can hear it. I didn't want it to get too short. These are the only short ones I do here. I'll do fades too whenever things sound weird. Sometimes you'll get weird artifacts or clicks. So you can fade those out The guitar being here gives it a lot of beef, a lot of depth and character, and really glues things together with Sullivan King's heaviness and just metal. So those are all the gun layers. That's all the post-processing. And like I said, you can drag and drop anything you want in here. Just tune them properly and have fun creating your own fat guns using this gun maker. On the gun maker, remember, we're using this Filta EQ. I want you to hear with it off. So it's pretty huge, you know. This is going to really carve things in. When you listen here. Cutting more highs, and then in the drop, not cutting as much highs. Now, the important thing is being able to make this flow. So if you go into the MIDI here, we can kind of see how we created this flow. Now, it's a 2-bar flow. 2-bar flow. Call, there's a call and response going on too. We can listen to this one with the kick too. So right on the downbeat, the first beat, we got a growl and an 808 bass. I got an 808 and added a lot of erosions to add a lot of white noise, saturated it a lot, added some distortion to make it sound all big and beefy like this. You can copy these settings and rack. I'll probably save this rack later because it's really good for the calls, and just layer a growl with it. We have multiple growls here. This ominous, all these packs will also be linked in the description. We got 2 different growls and a bass 1-shot and an 808. With the sub up top and the sub right here and a kick. So that's the call bass. Really important you have one of those. Right after the call bass, the gun starts playing. So let's look at the MIDI clip here. Remember, there's 2 bars. First half, well, this is the first beat here. First quarter note, we don't use. That's for the call. And then the gun starts playing. Crazy thing is, we're not even using triplets. We're using regular timing here. So 16th notes, these 3. Then we got 8th notes here. Some fast ones right here. These are 32s. So you make this flow first, this half. And then move on to this like bouncier rhythm. Bump, a bump, a bump, bump, bump. Very cool, huh? And that's essentially the flow that's repeating the whole time. The MIDI will follow this, as well as all those audio samples will follow this. So remember, 2-bar call and response flow. The 2 bars will have so much movement that it can loop over and over again. There's also going to be a sustained bass playing during the drop, and it's going to be in the background. And you kind of load up any type of sustain. This is like an Avant sustain. Any sustain you want, put it in the background. I moved mine to the right a little bit, turned it down. Add a sustain bass in there, get your flow right. Make sure to open up the EQ for the drop. In the drop, we'll actually have our own new sub playing. And the sub is going to be grouped with the gun maker. So that gun maker we just made, it's a done deal. We got the flow, we got the layers. Save it. If you drag this group into your user library right here, it will save and look like this so that you can drag and drop it into any other future projects. Once you've done that, then we're going to make the fatness. We got to still post-process this even more and get it even crazier. We got the guns. We have this sub. That little click that you hear right there, that's coming from this compressor. We're adding extra rhythmic flavor. Every time the gun hits, the sub is going to move a little bit so that the sub is kind of moving with the gun, even though the sub is sustained here. So we sustain the sub, but we want a little bit of movement. So we added this compressor, sidechained it to the MIDI gun. I'll show you what it sounds like exaggerated. Turn it down a lot. So the guns and this sub are playing together. This sub is going to be sustained. It's that sub that I just showed you earlier. It's in this project. But the sub, we're turning it up a lot and we're adding white noise to it. So before the saturator and erosion, it's regular sub. Turn on the erosion, make it wide, turn up the width, add the white noise, and then saturate that signal. Turn up the sub and white noise together. 8 dB, but 21%. Blend in that signal. So that's the super fat sub that we're using to play with the gun. Now, like I said, we have to group the sub and the gun maker together, and that's this final group, which is called Everything. The Everything group holds a loud rack. That's a Kompany OTT. Check out all these settings. Make sure you change the thresholds here, outputs, inputs. This is a special OTT. It's on 29%. Saturator, 6.9 dB, 36%. So we're turning up the guns and the sub together again in the drop only. This loud rack is automated. So in the fake out, it's not on, but in the drop, the loud rack is on. So it gets louder in the drop and goes crazy. And keep in mind, this compressor is being sidechained, compressed to that MIDI gun. One of the guns, ratio turned up, attack all the way down, just to add a little bit of that movement that I was talking about. And that's the final like bass sound, you know? We do all that just to get all the sub and the guns processed together to sound extra heavy. We needed all the frequencies to be full, so lots of erosions everywhere. There's an extra filter going on. So when we start, it's call and response, like we were talking about earlier. We got the call at the beginning, and then we have this call buddy, I like to call it, and then the response. Right when the snare hits, everything starts. That's the response. So within the first 2 bars here, got the call buddy, in the response. But in the call buddy section, we have the guns playing, but we just filter them out with this filter. A lot more lows cut, a lot more highs cut. These are turned up a little bit. That turns on only in that section. That's super cool effect. That's the last thing that's going to be in the gun rack. When we listen to the low, we have the 808 for the call, and then we also have these growls for the call. In some sections we have an extra bass shot playing after the growl, so it becomes like a more rhythmic movement. This bass is playing a higher note, so my sub right here is also playing a higher note. It's pitched up higher. That's the only time we really make a note change. This first 4 bars is the same exact thing as the next 4 bars. So don't be confused. Just make this first 4 bars first. Make it easy on yourself. Also have a bass playing right before. So this is like a little fill bass to play right before. Remember, 2-bar phrases. So every 2 bars, things are going to be moving. It's just a random bass fill. Sounds really cool, and it helps transition into this next call bass. I don't know if you noticed, but in the pre-drop, the guitar is playing a little bit differently. It's chopped up a little bit differently in the drop than in the pre-drop. So you can do that. And we also have We also have EQ8s on all of these basses. We're cutting out all the lows on all these bass fills and extra basses just to make sure that the sub, the big ass sub up here, has room to breathe. This growl specifically has 2 growls together. We OTT both of them. We have this EQ8 to boost frequencies. Before, after. Remove lows, boost frequencies, sounds really cool. And then it filters in the pre-drop section. So that's really awesome as well. That is going to be the main basses, the main bass maker. We have an extra supporting bass, which is like a tonal reverb bass on the quarter notes, just to add extra flow and movement. See if you can notice it. Off. On. So that's being low cut. That's adding a good amount of flavor and speed and intensity. So you should have something supporting like that. Of course, that sustain, like I showed you earlier. A little bit of erosion, a little bit of saturator, turned it down, added the EQ8. So I made it heavy and then turned it down. Before this is a regular sustain, but then we made it like dirtier. Lastly, we're going to get into the drums. These cymbals are really important. Listen to how they act in the pre-drop. Adding energy.
I see you never come back.
So you see it plays during the pre-drop.
I see you never come
To add energy, we add a little flow with it right here.
back.
Open up space for the call buddy.
Back.
And these are just 2 rides layered. One is higher frequency than the other, just to make a nice little blend.
Back.
They're both being turned down.
Back.
Those now cut through the mix because of that layering, so that's really good. The same thing with these snares here. We're doing a lot of layering. Main goal here was to find a fat clap. Check that off. Find something with a nice tonal, like a pan snare, basically. Good tonality to it. And then another snare with a tail. So tail, tonal, and clap. To get something real big and fat. This is grouped. These 3 are grouped. They're turned down a little bit. And we have a little bit of compression here. The main kick we're using is, of course, being sidechained. And we're using the Freaky Kick 9. Everything's in rhythm formation. Rhythm drums, rhythm formation. Listen with everything.
Back.
Cool. The last thing I want to show you is the super cool sound effects and my vocal. So first, gun cock and gunshots. I got many different gun cocks here. Some are from like video games. Some are from real life. And this is a sound effect, shells falling on the ground. So all these together are grouped, and we add distortion, overdrive on 29%, and compression, -9, 5 dB. Add a little bit of EQ8, cutting some of those lows. And that's the gun cock. I time stretch everything, so when things are warped, I'll hold shift, and I'll time stretch to get things right. And that's how I got everything here. I even faded some of these to get them cleaner, the Barrett 50 cal. I then have a big fat gunshot from model 1887. I boosted up the highs, clipped it, and turned it down, and layered it with an actual dubstep bass. Just like any random bass one shot, tune it to your root note. So I tuned it to C sharp, obviously. Using the lows in this. Letting the sub play, and then we layer a kick with it. Also, it didn't have enough thickness, so I added this clap to finish the thickness. Before, after. Really getting that fat, so it goes gun cock.
I see you never come back.
This is a pretty big fill here. 2-bar fill. The first bar is the gun cock and the gunshot.
I see you
Then we hit a sub drop.
I see.
Boom. That's of course tuned. An impact to layer with the sub drop. And then the vocal. Very important vocal. I'm surprised I used my own vocals for this, but I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just gonna do what they did. And what they did is SHAQ is saying something deep and dark in the middle, and then he has like a higher frequency version on the sides. So that was the whole goal. So I recorded my voice with my microphone first, and I pitched it down to -4.
I see you never come back.
Also added a lot of different effects. The glue compressor, turning it up. Overdrive, distorting it, is at 20%. Multiband dynamics, turning it up again, 43%, 1000.
I see you never come.
It's balancing out the frequencies, it's compressing, it's turning it up, it's doing a lot of different things here, adding grit with the distortion.
I see you.
And then we're cutting out all the lows.
I see you never come back.
If you listen 0,
I see you never come back.
that's me, but we're going -4.
I see you never come back.
The high frequency ones are crazy. These are like supporting, but most importantly, these are on the sides. We use the Haas effect here to move everything to the sides so they're not in the middle.
I see you never come back.
This is middle.
I see you never come back. I see you never come back.
We have little altar boy.
I see you never come back.
So that was me originally.
I see you never come back.
I'm kind of like trying to do a scream, a high frequency, screamier version of this.
I see you never.
And I just turned the formants up a little bit to get me sounding a little bit higher. This is the first layer.
I see you never come back.
Each one has Haas effect. So I made it really wide. Both individual tracks have Haas and this one has Haas. The Haas effect is just a delay. So just add a delay and change the settings to this to create the Haas effect to make it wide.
I see you never come back. I see you never come back.
So I recorded myself with the glue compressor, multi-band, Haas effect.
I see you never come back.
These are not pitched. I just tried to like scream it at a higher pitch.
I see you never.
These are turned down to -8, so they're in the background compared to this deep vocal.
I see you never come back.
And those three combined make this.
I see you never come back.
That's how we get it done. I hope you guys enjoyed this intense post-processing, grouping, sound design session. Lots of heavy dubstep is made this way. Extremely complex, lots of layers, great mixing throughout. As long as you know how to use your tools and know how to layer, you can have fun with it. This song is amazing. Sullivan King, Kompany, and DJ Diesel, some of the icons, undoubtedly. If you guys enjoyed this, don't forget to support me on my Patreon, get some sounds, ask me questions in the DM me on Instagram or Discord, and don't forget, I do lessons every day. So if you need a private lesson, hit me up directly and we'll get you signed up and get you on a path to destruction. Have a great day, guys. Stay fresh and thank you for the support. Peace out.